no, that was interesting. Okay, so Substack.
Substack. See,
Listen,
listen,
I mean,
listen. I
go
think a
ahead.
lot. I think. Listen. I think first of all, it's just a platform,
I mean,
and
as a platform from a user perspective, it's fantastic. If you're just
I I I,
looking at
I
it
gotta
in
say,
that perspective, it's great.
I started a newsletter on Substack, and I honestly, I really should restart it because I think newsletters are a very good medium. But
Yes.
I was not too. I thought it was very easy to use, but I was looking around at some other platforms, and it really, it's really. It hits you in the face when you see like what like the one Twitter just bought Review, which is another uh, newsletter platform. Substack's really lacking in features. It's very bare bones.
Oh, the CMS is not nearly as good as it could be, but like all like the little, I mean, fair. Okay, so various examples like the fact that they use Stripe, and as soon as someone subscribes, you get paid, as opposed to the way Patreon does it. I like that. I like the institutional support they're providing, but as you know, I saw people like Tim Marchman and others pointing out earlier today with forgetting the name of who wrote that really good Substack post on Substack today that was going around, but like, wait, it is kind of weird though. It's like, okay, so you're offering these legal reviews to people who want them. That's great. But wait a second. If you're putting it on the user to request it, isn't that potentially a huge liability issue for them?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the idea. Yeah, I mean, they're paying people. I mean, listen, if you wanna actually be this, if you okay, so they are starting a platform. They don't want to be a publisher. That's what the claim is, and they're bringing on these Substack pros who receive a full salary and healthcare benefits, with the goal of promoting the platform. Now that's fine and dandy, and I would agree that just by paying writers doesn't necessarily make you a publisher straight up, if they're writing whatever they want, obviously. But
Right. And
but
and also
but
I get wanting to go for like one or two people, especially even with whatever changes he's gone through. Glenn Greenwald still has enough built up cred that that's such a massive get
well,
that I get why someone might.
apparently, I was reading Glenn Greenwald's actually not part of the program. He's
Oh,
not
he's
getting.
saying he is not part of Pro or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
I don't
Oh,
think.
really? Okay.
I
I
don't
didn't
think.
see that yet.
I don't think he would lie about that. That seems like a
No,
very
I don't
low.
either.
Yeah. So,
I take him at his word on that.
but they're just hiring reactionaries who are right leaning. I mean,
Right, and
uh,
they're not saying who the members of Substack Pro, which is when they pay people up front,
yeah, but it
is
just so happens
advantage
that
from.
everyone who's coming out and proudly promoting the idea that they are one is like a reactionary type, you know, anti
Michael
woke.
Tracey, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Tracy. Who else? There was what's his face? I'm having a mental block now. But anyway, I mean, get some left wing writers on there. I mean, what's going on? I mean, if you don't, then I'm going to assume that there's a reason you're doing that. And the CEO of Substack tweeted out, defund the thought police in response to all
I'm
this.
not sure who is he. Is that Hamish or someone else?
No, Chris
Okay,
Best.
okay.
Maybe he's not the CEO. He's some high executive if he's not the CEO. Um, I mean, I don't know what you're doing there. I mean, you want to come out as one of these reactionary tech guys, fine, but then Substack might not be the platform for everybody. And I'm not saying there should be a boycott of Substack, but I'm just saying people might on their own decide they don't like Substack. I mean, it's just and the idea that Substack itself is this great big, like Greenwald's pushing, and I agree, totally disagree with Greenwald here, that like people are afraid of Substack because it's saying that the big corporate
Oh,
media
yeah, I agree with you on that.
journalism
Yeah.
is no longer powerful. Substack is just a fucking platform. It's not doing any of that shit. It's the same thing as YouTube. It's the same thing as Patreon. And that is, if you already are someone who has a large base of subscribers or fans, you can obviously make a living. It has nothing to do with Substack. You can do that shit on Patreon, on YouTube, wherever.
OnlyFans, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
like
could. It's literally has nothing to do with Substack, the platform. And you know what? All those people who have that huge, big fan base of people, enough people to make them a full time living by just converting all those people into subscribers, like Matt Iglesias. Those people grew on those corporate media platforms. These aren't people who've been bucking the system the entire time. Give me a
right.
break.
Although Greenwald his point is that he argues that the people like him and Iglesias, and there were some other names too. I think maybe also Barry Weiss he mentioned in this. He was arguing,
Yeah.
no,
What?
these
Yeah.
are, I forget if it was him or someone else said it, and then he said it, agreeing. His argument, and I kind of get where he's coming from on this, even if I don't entirely agree, is that these were people who had independent blogs that got scooped up by corporate media and that they went along with it because it was the way to make money. And now that there's a platform that makes it easy for them to make money with this, they don't need the corporate media anymore. And I kind of get where he's going with that, especially with the specific examples he was giving. But still, it's if you have look, Deadspin and Defector. Like, they probably could have done even better if they had something going, within a month or two of the Deadspin apocalypse. But they had a huge built-up audience and loyalty. So it's worked for them to have their own subscription site.
Right. Right. I mean, listen. Like, are there specific podcasters or YouTubers or writers who've been able to build up a following without any sort of any sort of platform that a bigger media company gives them? Sure. Look at Chapo. They weren't. It's not like they came from CNN or Vox or BuzzFeed or anything like that. But they're an anomaly.
Some of them I would say are even bigger anomalies. Like Knowledge Fight, though they had Patreon bonus shows at first, they've built up just enough of a loyal following that's happy to pay them on Patreon, and that they feel is enough money for them, so they don't even encourage people to sign up for the Patreon anymore, but are still making a full-time living off of it. And now that, of course, is very rare. That's more rare than just making a full-time living on Patreon or Substack or anything like that.
Right.
There are certain podcasts that, for whatever reason, and they're good podcasts, but I just can't figure out what the specific alchemy is that gets someone to pay for no guaranteed bonus content.
Wow.
And if you're able to pull it off like Dan and Jordan are, or whoever, that's great. I just genuinely can't see what the special sauce is to repeat with something like that.
Right. But again, we're talking very few. I remember reading something like even my show with only got like 200 plus patrons. I remember reading that even at that point, you are an anomaly. Like, you are one of the few who's actually making that. Like something like the 8 or 6% of patrons who actually even have who are making more than like $100 or something. Like, most people do not have that. And any Joe Schmo can start a Substack, and that doesn't mean they're suddenly free to make a living based on their writing. Like, all these people are promoting Substack ads. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just not true. It's just, that's sort of where I got, that's sort of where I'm like, why are you treating Substack like it's some sort of special place where just anyone could start a newsletter and quit their job? It's just